Assassin's Creed Syndicate is like jumping straight into a time machine and landing in the heart of Victorian London. Imagine running across rooftops, climbing up buildings, and taking a little breather as you gaze down at the hustle and bustle of 19th century London. And you get to do all of that with not just one, but two assassins. How cool is that? First off, the game brings in the twin duo, Jacob and Evie Fry, who are totally different in style. Jacob is the brawler, all about fists and chaos, while Evie is the stealth master who takes a more calculated approach to things. Switching between the two gives you a nice mix of combat and strategy, and honestly, it keeps things fresh. One moment, you're diving headfirst into a gang fight, and the next, you're sneaking through shadows, avoiding detection. There's never a dull moment. Now let's talk about moving around this giant city. You've got the classic parkour action, but it's not just your regular climb and jump routine. The rope launcher is a total game changer. No more awkward climbing just to get to the top of a building. You can zip up and across with a simple press of a button, making your travels feel smooth and fast. If you ever get bored, you can always grab a horse-drawn carriage and cruise around the streets like it's your own personal getaway car. Racing through traffic, that's your new thing. The best part is how the world really feels alive. Atomic Heart takes you on an adventure like no other. Imagine a world where the USSR has unlocked some pretty crazy tech and you get thrown right into the middle of it. Robots that were once your helpful companions, now they're running wild, and that's just the beginning. You'll be exploring vast, eerie facilities and battling through some seriously wild and unpredictable enemies. What makes this game stand out is how it mixes up your typical first-person shooter with these mind-bending powers you can control. Enter the polymer glove, which gives you abilities like telekinesis, electricity, and ice manipulation. It's like they combined the most thrilling parts of an action movie and gave you the power to use it in creative ways. Want to toss an enemy around like a rag doll? You've got it. Need to freeze something in place and blow it up? Easy. It's that kind of gameplay that makes every combat encounter feel fresh. But it's not all about blowing stuff up. There's a surprising amount of depth when it comes to crafting and gathering resources. Scavenging through the environment to find materials so you can upgrade your weapons or make new gadgets is a huge part of the experience. It keeps you on your toes because, honestly, you never know when you'll run out of ammo or need that extra healing item. And speaking of weapons, there's an insane variety. Whether you're using a good old-fashioned shotgun, a weirdly modified rifle, or just picking up whatever tool you find lying around, it all feels satisfying to use. Dragon's Dogma 2. It's not just another RPG to add to your backlog. This one's got some serious bite. If you're into exploration, thrilling combat, and a bit of weirdness mixed in, you're in for a treat. First off, the world is huge, like ridiculously huge. You're not just walking around the same few villages or caves, you've got lush forests, dry deserts, and everything in between. And yes, it all feels super alive with day-to-night transitions that actually matter. Things get way more intense when the sun goes down, so you're going to find yourself battling monsters under the eerie glow of the moon. Pretty cool stuff. Now let's talk about combat. This game really delivers when it comes to making you feel like an absolute badass. You're slicing through monsters with your sword, blasting them with magic, or even grabbing onto the backs of huge creatures and fighting them up close. And trust me, it never gets old. It's got that fast-paced, action-packed vibe that keeps you on your toes. And with multiple classes to choose from, there's always a new way to mess things up. Plus, if you're into customizing your playstyle, this game lets you experiment and figure out what feels best. But here's where it gets really fun, the pawn system. Imagine having a bunch of AI companions who are there to help you out, but also learn from their experiences. So if you've been tackling dragons or dealing with super creepy monsters, they pick up on it. Lords of the Fallen takes you on a wild ride through a dark, gritty world that has everything you could want from an action RPG. Challenging combat, cool mechanics, and plenty of ways to explore. From the moment you step into the game, you're thrown into a universe that feels alive, full of danger and mystery. It's the kind of game where you always feel like you're on the edge, ready for something intense around every corner. One of the coolest parts about this game is the dual realm mechanic. You can switch between the living world and the realm of the dead. This isn't just a neat gimmick. It opens up tons of possibilities for how you explore and solve puzzles. Need to get across a gap or bypass an obstacle? Flip into the other realm and bam! Suddenly, there's a whole new way forward. It's clever and it adds an extra layer to the experience that keeps you on your toes. Combat in this game is no joke. If you're a fan of the Souls-like genre, you'll feel right at home with its methodical, deliberate pace. It's all about timing, dodging at the right moment, blocking when needed, and delivering those satisfying strikes when you find the opening. The variety of character classes is another highlight. Whether you're all about heavy damage or prefer a more agile approach, there's a playstyle for everyone. It's not just about slashing through enemies, it's about figuring out the best way to approach every encounter. Another fun aspect of this game is the cooperative multiplayer. Forza Horizon 5 is all about speed, freedom, and pure fun. Set in a vibrant, sprawling open world that's a massive playground for any car enthusiast, it's a game that lets you lose yourself in high-octane adventures. Forget about just racing. This is about exploring, taking on challenges, and just having a blast behind the wheel. The whole experience feels like an endless summer road trip through diverse landscapes, from beaches to deserts and even towering mountains. You can hop into over 850 different cars, each customizable to your heart's content. Whether you're upgrading your ride for speed or giving it a unique look, there's a ton of freedom to make your car truly yours. The best part is the game constantly throws new things your way. From races to mini-games and creative custom events made by players, there's always something new around the corner to keep you hooked. The dynamic weather system is something that really sets the game apart. You can race through intense rain in one area, and a few miles down the road, you're driving under the scorching sun. That's not even to mention the seasonal changes that keep the world feeling alive and constantly changing. It's the kind of detail that keeps things fresh, no matter how many hours you've already put in. But it's not all about racing. There's Horizon Arcade and Event Lab to spice things up. Rage 2. The game takes place in a post-apocalyptic world, where you get to step into the boots of Walker, the last surviving ranger. What's awesome here is how the game gives you a ton of freedom. The open world is huge, and you can just dive right into exploring. Whether you're racing across deserts in a souped-up vehicle, hunting down bandits, or just taking a minute to blow stuff up for fun, there's always something going on. And let's talk about the guns for a second. They're ridiculously satisfying. You've got your classic shooters, assault rifles, shotguns, and pistols, but it's the crazier weapons that really steal the show. Grenade launchers that fire exploding projectiles, and shotguns that make you feel like a walking natural disaster. Then, you've got your nanotrite abilities, which just take things to another level. It's not just about shooting, it's about combining weapons and powers to create total chaos. Imagine launching enemies into the air with one ability, then mowing them down mid-flight. It's that kind of anything goes energy that makes every encounter feel like a thrill ride. The vehicle combat is another standout feature. If you thought the on-foot shooting was fun, wait until you get behind the wheel of a car with guns mounted on it. It's like Mad Max meets a first-person shooter. Whether you're tearing through enemy camps or engaging in car chases, the driving combat is just as engaging as the rest of the game. Lining up that perfect shot never gets old, especially when the game gives you every reason to obsess over the details. Wind, distance, heart rate, even the angle of the target. That's where Sniper Elite Resistance instantly hooks you. This isn't just about pulling the trigger. It's about setting up the moment so perfectly that the payoff is as satisfying as it can possibly get. Sniper Elite Resistance really leans into the thrill of planning each encounter, especially when the game hands you the freedom to shape your own approach. One mission might have you stalking rooftops for the best sniping nest, while another lets you booby-trap paths, trigger environmental hazards, or even set up some sneaky diversions. There's something endlessly entertaining about the way it rewards patience as much as it rewards bold moves. The game shines the most when you start using all the toys it gives you. There's a whole loadout system that lets you tweak your gear from swapping scopes to picking the right suppressor or even adjusting the ammo type depending on the challenge. Every mission turns into a kind of puzzle, and it's up to you whether you want to solve it loud or quiet, from a mile away or up close. What's fun is how the world around you can be just as deadly as your sniper rifle. Sniper Elite Resistance lets you rig traps and use the environment to your advantage, which makes the action feel way more creative than just a point-and-shoot affair. Mortal Kombat 1 has returned, and it's here to deliver everything we love about the series with a fresh twist. This entry takes a bold step forward, rebooting the timeline in a way that feels both familiar and exciting. If you're a fan of intense, over-the-top fighting action, this is absolutely the game you want to dive into. What really sets it apart is the cameo fighters. You pick a fighter to team up with during each battle, adding a whole new layer of strategy and fun. It's not just about who you're playing as, it's about how your cameo fighter can turn the tide of a match. This system really keeps things fresh and opens up tons of possibilities for combo-filled chaos. The combat is as brutal and satisfying as ever. The fatal blows make their return, which always makes for an exciting finish, and those animalities, yeah, they're back too. It's these kinds of dramatic, jaw-dropping moments that make Mortal Kombat such a staple in the fighting game world. There's so much to sink your teeth into. The single-player invasions mode brings a bit of RPG flavor to the mix. You'll be battling through challenges, earning rewards, and leveling up. It's a great way to get deeper into the game without feeling like you're just doing the same old fights over and over. And if you're the competitive type, the online multiplayer is there for you, bringing smooth matches with rollback netcode to keep things feeling sharp. It's also got tons of modes to keep things interesting. Persona 5 Royal. You're diving into the life of a high school student who's not just dealing with the usual teenage drama, but also taking on corrupt hearts in a mysterious alternate world. And while that sounds intense, the game makes it feel like a fun, ongoing adventure. The beauty of it lies in the balance. You'll spend time going to school, building friendships, working part-time jobs, and even just hanging out with your friends in various Tokyo locations. It's all about managing your time wisely, trying to juggle these daily life activities while also tackling some pretty serious stuff in the metaverse. And when you're not doing that, you'll be heading into dungeons where your turn-based combat skills are put to the test. It's all about making smart decisions, choosing the right abilities, and of course, collecting and fusing personas to boost your powers. One of the coolest things here is how much the game lets you customize your playthrough. The characters you choose to bond with impact the abilities and skills you'll develop, which keeps things fresh throughout. And speaking of fresh, the game adds a ton of new content, including new characters and a whole third semester that expands the story in exciting ways. If you've played the original, the additions are a real treat and make the game feel even more packed. The strategic combat in the game is also a blast. It's not just about mindless button mashing. You really have to think about your next move, whether you're exploiting enemy weaknesses or making the most of your limited resources. Skyrim, a game where you can pretty much do whatever you want. Want to fight dragons, explore vast forests, or maybe become a master thief? No one's stopping you. This is one of those games that drops you into a massive world and says, go ahead, make it your own. First off, the scale of this place is insane. It's a huge open world that feels alive, with mountains to climb, caves to explore, and cities that are bursting with people and sometimes dragons. You can literally walk for hours and find something new around every corner. Whether it's a hidden dungeon, a random person needing help, or a creature just looking for a fight. That sense of freedom is one of the best parts, honestly. You're not restricted to a set path. You could wake up one day and think, I'm gonna hunt down some dragons, and the game's like, sure, go for it. Or you can wander around and find a guild to join, like the Thieves Guild or the Dark Brotherhood. There's always something to dive into. Combat? Oh, it's solid. Whether you're slinging magic spells, swinging swords, or sneaking around with a bow, it's pretty satisfying. Every time you level up a skill, you feel a real difference. Want to be a stealthy assassin? Go for it. Or do you prefer charging in with a battle axe? Totally an option. There's no one way to play, and that's the beauty of it. Build your character however you want, and the game adapts. Fallout London is a massive fan-made mod for Fallout 4 that transports you to the post-apocalyptic streets of London. It's like stepping into a whole new chapter of the Fallout universe, but with a British twist. The best part? It's free, though you do need the base game of Fallout 4 to dive in. But once you're in, it's a whole new world, packed with everything you'd expect from a Fallout game, plus a ton of unique elements. The map itself is huge, covering iconic landmarks like Buckingham Palace and the London Eye, but everything's been transformed by the apocalypse. It's like you're walking through a city that once ruled the world, now completely overrun. And let's be real, the detail in this mod is stunning. It's not just a few changes here and there, it feels like a completely different Fallout experience. The factions in this mod are where it really shines. You've got the gentry, these aristocratic types holding on to the old world, and the Tommies, who are all about military control. Then there are the more rebellious groups, like the Camelot movement, which gives you that classic feeling of trying to break free from oppressive rule. Each group has its own vibe, its own motivations, and you're right in the middle of all of it. The way these factions interact with you? It's so dynamic, and your choices matter. You're not just wandering through the world aimlessly. Everything you do has an impact. In terms of gameplay, you'll find the classic Fallout mechanics. You're used to exploring, crafting, and making all those important moral decisions. Mafia 3. There's just something really cool about games that let you build your own criminal empire one block at a time. You start at the bottom, rough around the edges, and slowly climb your way up by taking over neighborhoods, running operations, and knocking some serious weight off your enemy's confidence. It's the kind of setup that makes every small victory feel like you're stacking up towards something way bigger. The way the city is laid out makes every district feel like it has its own little personality. From the rundown corners to the fancy parts of town, every area gives off a vibe, and the way the game lets you flip them under your control is super satisfying. One by one, you'll pull the rug out from under your enemies and hand those districts over to your lieutenants, who all bring something different to the table. There's plenty of fun to be had just cruising around, messing with the local gangs, and stirring up chaos. Whether you're creeping through alleyways, trying to outsmart the bad guys, or going in guns blazing, both styles deliver their own kind of fun. The game doesn't force one way over the other, which makes switching things up feel natural depending on the mood. Driving around the city is another part that sneaks up on you. The handling feels old school in a good way, with cars that slide around corners and beg you to push the pedal harder. You might end up chasing down enemies, running from trouble, or just enjoying the city's layout while plotting your next move. Doom 4. If you're a fan of fast-paced action, brutal combat, and some of the most fun gameplay around, this one is a must-check out. Right from the start, it's clear that the game knows exactly what it wants to be. It's all about the fight, and nothing gets in the way of that. You're constantly on the move, dodging enemies, firing off your arsenal, and figuring out how to make those epic glory kills. There's no time to waste in this one, and that's what makes it so exciting. One thing that stands out here is how they've embraced the chaos. You're not hiding behind cover, slowly regenerating health, or worrying about ammo. This is about running into the fray and kicking some serious demon butt. It's fast, relentless, and honestly a ton of fun. You'll find yourself weaving between enemies, taking out groups with the most creative combinations of weapons. And the best part? There's always a new weapon or tool to keep things fresh. Whether it's the iconic shotgun or the powerful BFG, the game makes sure you never get bored with your loadout. The combat flows so smoothly, it almost feels like an extension of your reflexes. From the fluid movement to the satisfying impact of each shot, every encounter feels like a mini adrenaline rush. And then there's the glory kill mechanic, where you can execute enemies in the most satisfying ways when they're weak. It's a brutal system that rewards you with health pickups, keeping the action going and ensuring you never slow down. But what really makes this game shine is how it gives you freedom within that action. The Last of Us is a game that has pretty much set the bar for how video games can deliver unforgettable experiences. If you're into those intense, edge-of-your-seat moments, but also love getting deep into the characters' emotions, this one hits the sweet spot. You'll find yourself in a world where the stakes are high, the action's thrilling, and the relationships are just as complex as anything you'll encounter in a good movie or TV show. Now, gameplay? It's not just about running around shooting things, though you'll definitely be doing your fair share of that. The best part, you're constantly scavenging, hunting for resources, and crafting items to get by. You'll be crafting everything from health kits to Molotov cocktails, which are super useful when you find yourself in tight spots. It's not about mindless action. You'll find yourself thinking on your feet, balancing combat and stealth, which makes the whole experience feel super rewarding. One of the coolest parts is how you'll navigate through these crazy post-apocalyptic environments. There's something oddly satisfying about exploring abandoned buildings, figuring out where you're supposed to go, and piecing together what happened before the world turned upside down. It's like being dropped into a world that's both familiar and totally alien at the same time. And while you're out there in the wild, you won't always be alone. You've got companions who are not only helpful in a pinch, but also bring a lot of personality to the mix. Infamous Second Son. This one drops you right into the chaos with powers blazing and never really lets up in the best way possible. It's all about that fast-paced, high-energy gameplay that makes you feel like a walking explosion with style. There's this satisfying loop of powering up, zipping around the city, and unleashing absolute mayhem that just hits the spot every time. And the best part is how smooth and responsive it all feels. Movement, combat, abilities, they just flow. What really makes it pop is the way it constantly gives you new tools to play with. You're not stuck with the same old tricks for long. New powers roll in, and each one adds something fresh to how you move and fight. It keeps everything exciting and makes every encounter feel like an opportunity to try something different. Whether you're tearing through enemies or darting across rooftops, there's always a sense of momentum. The open world is just begging to be explored. There's a great rhythm to cruising around, taking on challenges, and slowly reclaiming the city piece by piece. It doesn't overload you either, just enough to keep you engaged without turning into a checklist marathon. Every corner has something cool going on, and you never feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. What's cool is how it lets you lean into your play style. Want to be more careful and precise? Go for it. Want to go full chaos mode and light everything up? Also totally valid. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Right from the start, it's clear this game isn't interested in making you feel like a superhero. It's more about making you feel like a real person just trying to survive in medieval chaos. Every move in combat actually matters, and button mashing gets you nowhere fast. Swinging a sword feels heavy and awkward until you properly learn the rhythm and angles, which makes finally winning a fight super rewarding. There's no magic shortcut, just good old practice and timing. And speaking of practice, even simple stuff like archery is a whole challenge on its own here. You don't just get a reticle or some easy way out, you have to eyeball your shots, like someone who's really holding a bow. The game world has this neat way of making everything feel alive without shouting about it. Towns and villages aren't static backdrops. The people around you are busy doing their own thing. You might find blacksmiths hammering away, guards swapping shifts, or someone wandering back home after a night out. The world just moves, and you're part of it, not the center of it. One of the coolest parts has to be how much the game trusts you to pay attention. It's not big on markers or flashing icons holding your hand. If you're told about a place or a person, it's usually up to you to figure out where to go, who to ask, and how to get the job done. It makes every little success feel earned. The best part is how the game never tries to cheat you with fake difficulty. There's a hardcore mode too, for when you really want to test your patience. BioShock Infinite. Jumping into this game feels like getting caught up in a fast-moving roller coaster where guns, powers, and crazy vertical levels all come together in a wild dance. Combat keeps you on your toes, constantly switching between weapons and abilities, which makes every fight feel fresh and never repetitive. The way you move around is super smooth. You're not stuck on flat ground. You're climbing, jumping, and zipping around, and which means there's always a smart or stylish way to take down enemies. The game gives you room to play how you want, whether that's blasting from a distance or mixing it up close with some sneaky moves. Upgrades and new powers drop just at the right pace, letting you experiment and find cool combos that fit your style. It's never overwhelming, but always satisfying to get that new toy or skill that changes the way you tackle challenges. What really clicks is how it balances hectic moments with a chance to breathe. The fights hit hard, but then you get a beat to catch up and figure out what's next. It's like the game knows exactly when to push you and when to let you chill for a sec. Everything feels polished and purposeful. Controls are tight, the pace is smooth, and every little detail seems designed to keep you hooked. It's one of those games where you're constantly pumped for what's coming next, always wanting to see what cool move or crazy scenario shows up. At its core, it's just a blast to play. Rise, Son of Rome. Rise, Son of Rome is like your personal ticket to stepping into the sandals of a Roman warrior, battling your way through hordes of enemies in some seriously intense combat. It's a third-person action game that has you taking control of Marius Titus, a Roman soldier with a serious vendetta. The gameplay is all about fighting, and more fighting, with each battle making you feel like a total powerhouse when you're chopping your way through waves of enemies. The combat is where it really shines. Everything's built around rhythm. It's not just about hacking and slashing. There's a flow to it, almost like dancing with swords. Once you get the hang of it, you'll be chaining attacks together, taking out enemies with style. There's this cool execution mechanic where when an enemy is weak enough, you can trigger these brutal finishing moves. It's not just satisfying to watch, it rewards you with things like health boosts and experience points. So every fight becomes a rhythm to master, a chance to build up and pull off those big moments. A little bit of teamwork also gets thrown in with the multiplayer mode. If you're not just into solo slaying, you can team up with a buddy and face down enemies together. It's fun to switch things up and get a little chaotic while trying to outlast waves of foes. You don't get to see too many games with this kind of co-op experience mixed in with your typical hack and slash, so it's a nice bonus for those who like to team up. Resident Evil 2 Remake is like the ultimate love letter to fans of survival horror. It takes everything great about the original and brings it to life in ways that just feel fresh and exciting. This game doesn't hold your hand, but it does keep you on your toes in the best possible way. First off, it's all about the gameplay, right? This is where the magic happens. You're thrown into the chaos of Raccoon City, and it's not like the world is out there waiting for you to catch up. Nope, it's after you, constantly. You'll be scavenging for ammo, healing items, and figuring out puzzles that have just the right level of brain workout without making you feel like you need a cheat sheet. The limited inventory space makes every decision feel important. Do you take that extra health spray or keep that grenade launcher for the next big monster? It's like a constant game of Tetris with what you have in your backpack, but way more stressful. Then there's the combat. There's something so satisfying about picking off zombies with a headshot or seeing a creature go down in a well-placed shot. The enemies aren't just brainless targets. They react to your shots and move around in ways that keep you thinking on your feet. And the pacing, it's that perfect mix of quiet moments where you're creeping around, holding your breath as you hear footsteps in the distance, followed by pure chaos when you get swarmed. But let's talk about the puzzles. They are a solid mix of, I feel like a genius when I solve them, and I want to throw my controller across the room. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Life as a Viking really knows how to keep the blood pumping. One moment you're charging headfirst into a fortress, the next you're upgrading your settlement, planning new raids, or just soaking up the rugged charm of medieval England. There's this great balance between chaotic action and slower moments that makes everything feel rewarding. Whether you're sharpening your weapons or expanding your clan's home base, the freedom in how to approach every fight is what makes the whole thing shine. Charging into battle with 2 axes feels just as satisfying as sneaking through enemy camps, taking your time to pick the perfect moment to strike. Switching styles on the fly keeps every encounter fresh, and the skill tree is packed with plenty of ways to shape your Viking however you like. Being able to dual wield nearly anything, even 2 shields, makes experimentation worth every second. There's always something fun waiting just around the corner, whether it's a raid that turns into an all-out brawl or one of those side activities that totally distracts from the main objective. The world really knows how to tempt you off the beaten path, and those distractions are never wasted time. Even flighting, which sounds simple enough, turns out to be a weirdly entertaining way to test your wit while giving your Viking a bit more personality. The settlement system is where everything ties together. Building it up isn't just about new buildings. It's about making your little slice of England feel more alive